Happy Tuesday, guys. Go ahead and take out your composition notebook and your calculator and follow along. Please copy the I can statement in your composition notebook. All right, a quick recap of vocab. Area is a space occupied by a flat shape. So if you look at this diagram, you can see that the area of this rectangle is actually 12. You can count the squares inside, or you can use our helpful formula, base times height or length times width. I'm going to say base times height. So if you look at your base, you have 4 and your height is 3. You multiply them together, you get 12. This actually applies for rectangles, squares, and parallelograms. Okay. However, triangles have a different formula for area, and that's actually base times height divided by 2. Just a quick little recap. And perimeter is actually outside. You're totaling or you're adding the total sides. So here we've got 3. Its parallel side is 3. This side is 4, and its parallel side is also 4, giving you a total perimeter of 14 when you add all the sides. All right. Sorry, guys, if I'm rushing. We do have a lot to cover, and I do want you to get to your Google Forms activity. So area and perimeter of a polygon. Question 1 says, what is the perimeter of the rectangle of the coordinate? So if I look at this endpoint here and calculate the distance between that endpoint, you can count your steps, 2, 3, 4, and find the distance that way. Or you can look at the algorithm. I will be just counting my steps just for time's sake. Since that is 4, the parallel side is also 4. I'm also going to count the top, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that means its parallel side is also 8. So if I add all of these together, I'm going to think smart, not hard. 4 times 2, since I have 2 sides, gives me 8. And 8 times 2, since I have 2 sides, gives me 16. You guys can just do 4 plus 8 plus 4 plus 8, but this is a little faster for me. And then I get 24 units as my perimeter. Okay. Area, we found the base, we found the height. If I go ahead and plug those in to my formula, I get 4 times 8, which gives me a total area of 32 units squared. Okay, pretty simple, very straightforward. Let's look at number 2. So this graph shows line segment AB, which is part of rectangle ABCD. The area of the rectangle is 18 square units. If C has the same X as A, what is the ordered pair for C? So if I go ahead and label these A and B, C, I'm just going to find the ordered pair for A. It is actually -2, +3. And number 1 did say that C has the same X value. So it's got to be -2 and something for our Y. So if I figure out my Y, I will figure out my Y by looking at the distance from the axes. So we found X, now we're looking for Y. So if I look at A is actually 1, 2, 3 units away from our X axis. So C should be the same distance. So 1, 2, 3. So C is the same distance, but in the opposite direction. So C would be right there. All right, so if I look, the total distance between the two is actually 6, right? A from the X is 3, C from the X axis is also 3. If I add those together, the distance between endpoints A, C, or CA is actually 6. So my ordered pair for C is -2, -3. Okay. Lastly, what could point D be? We're still going to use distance. So if I know that the parallel sides are the same, this should also be 6 units. And if I look at the distance between A, B, that is actually 3 units. That means the distance between C and wherever D would be would also be 3, which that checks out. So D would actually land right there. So D's ordered pair is actually 1, 3. Okay, again, pretty straightforward. Pause and copy as you need. All right, question number 3 says Jade hides his brother's toy car by dividing it into 4 parts. He hides the tires at -3. So I'm going to -2, -3, -2 are the tires. I'm just going to write this down as I go. The steering wheel at -3, 3. So -3, +3. Steering wheel. And the seats at 3, 3. And the honking horn at 3, -2. So +3, -2. So that's the honking horn. All right, number 1, or letter A, says what's the distance between the steering wheel and the seats? So I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the answer to that is 6 units. All right, what shape do these locations form? Find the area of the shape. So in order to determine what shape this is, I'm going to have to find the last side. I'm sorry, a different side. So if I look at steering wheel to seats, that distance was 6. That means that from the tires to the horn, that should also be 6. But now we have to figure out the distance from this, either the steering wheel to the tires or the seats to the horn. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that distance is 5. So that actually forms a rectangle since opposite sides are the same, and not all the sides are the same like it would have been in the square. So that forms a rectangle. And in order to find the area of a rectangle, we're going to do base times height. We established that our base is 6 and our height is 5. So we get a total area of 30 units squared. All right, what is the perimeter? I'm going to add these all together. I get 10 plus that 12, because the 6 plus 6 plus 5 plus 5 gives me 22 units for my perimeter. All right, and last question. Says the area of a right triangle is 15 square units. So we're dealing with a triangle, and we know that the total area is 15. The right angle is located at vertex -4 to -2. So -4, -2, here is A, and it's a right angle. So that kind of forms the base of the triangle, okay? And it says B is located at -4, 4. So -4, +4. So here is B. All right, so this is going to form a triangle. And it says, what's the distance between line segment AB? I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 6. And that is actually my height. So if I'm trying to figure out the total, or that last piece, if I know that the area is 15 and I'm given the height, which is 6, we need to figure out the base in order to figure out point C. So I can use the formula, but I'm going to show you guys what I do. 6b divided by 2, I use opposite operations. So this is division, I use multiplication. So I multiply by 2 on both sides. To get rid of that 2, I'm left with 30 equals 6b. In order to get b by itself, I divide by 6 on both sides, and I get b is equal to 5. Or you guys can just remember, you multiply the area by 2 and divide by the height, okay? So that's just a shortcut. So that means that A is actually 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 units away from our last point, which is C. So C should actually land right here. So that forms the rest of our triangle. And we will say that the ordered pair for C is 1, -2. And you guys can check that again. You have your base, you have your height. You can plug that in to check your area, right? So that's a wrap. I got what I need from you now is to go to today's lesson and complete step 2, and that's the Google Forms activity. If at any point you have a question, please ask on the activity feed as we are answering questions. We can even help you guys out on Google Meets. All right. So good luck and let me know if you have any questions.